you have been charged with many things, but you have been tasked, is probably a better way of putting it, by our people, Rob, producer, and others, to put together your top 5 managers right now. Now, only you and Rob know these. We have not seen them. So we're here to critique and potentially criticize. This is the first time that we are seeing this. So LME, let's discuss this, and then we'll get Don's take on it as well, because 1 and 2, as expected, in whichever order. What's the bigger surprise on that list for you, LME?
I mean, I don't want to go down this road, but I might have to. I do believe that at this point, this is a very good list, and I'm almost in agreement. I will say that sometimes I think Simone Inzaghi, as wonderful as he is, I'm trying to find a way to see, is he really right now in the top 5? We know what he's done in Serie A, reaching the Champions League final in recent time. But I would venture to put Xabi Alonso in 3, I think, here. Mikel Arteta, listen, like we talk about the trajectory of a club, and there is no doubt that Arsenal continue to do it, but we still need to see an example of what can happen. And I have to say, and I know what you're going to say, Mark Donaldson, but Unai Emery deserves an absolute mention here. He arrived to Aston Villa in November 2022 when they had no identity, on the waters of relegation, got them conference football in less than 11 months with essentially the same team. In his first full season, got them the Champions League, right? And right now is looking good early in the season, but looking good for a top 5, top 4, and just beat Bayern Munich at Villa Park. The fact that Unai Emery has done that in the space of that time frame is remarkable to me, and definitely deserves a mention. But I can't argue too much with that line. It's more about the shifts of the manager list there. Pep Guardiola, 100%. Carlo Ancelotti, 100%. Xabi Alonso, yes. Simone Inzaghi, I don't want to get any disrespect from any Italian fan bases, but I do think that Unai Emery deserves it. Yeah, I'm going to get it. I know. Our friend Matteo Bonetti is texting me right now. I just feel it already.
Okay, what's the thinking behind your top 5, the order of your top 5, Don, and who came close but didn't quite get in?
Well, I've based it on the sort of recent history, because if it was long history in terms of the last 10, 15 years, then Unai Emery has to get a mention for what he's done in the Europa League and how many times he's actually won the thing. So this is a sort of 18 months, 2 years top 5. That's why Inzaghi's in it, because he's won the Coppa Italia, I think, twice on the spin. He's won a Scudetto along the way. He, as LME said, he got to a Champions League final, and by the way, should have probably beat Man City. So I think he gets underlooked a little bit. I think the job that he's done is amazing. He got linked with Man United the other day, and I was like, why would he leave? Why would he leave Inter to go to Man United? He's trying to win the Champions League. And I think when you look down, Xabi Alonso, invincible. Mikel Arteta will get there. I think the lack of trophies for him, just one FA Cup in his recent history, but you can see the trajectory that he's on. So I think you could literally pick that top 5 and you could throw Unai Emery in there for sure. But I'm quite happy with that 5, and I'm quite happy with the order.
What about you, MD? Who would you have in there?
I like it. Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, Inter now aren't even top of Serie A, but again, if it's over 18 months... No, listen, hold on. If it's over 18 months, fine. Yeah, he's taken an Inter side. I remember when we had the Serie A rights, I think up until 2 or 3 years ago, Inter finally got their hands on a Scudetto after Juve winning it for the past 9 or 10 years. So, yeah, look, he's done a decent job. Pep would be my number 1. Of course, Carlo Ancelotti would be my number 2. I think it's totally subjective. Unai Emery can get in there as well. Mikel Arteta. If Mikel Arteta wins the Premier League, he goes from 5 to where on your list, Don?
Probably 3. Probably goes close to 3. Probably goes above Inzaghi, even though I mentioned the Coppa Italia that he's won. But this is the hardest league to win, especially in the Man City era and the dominance. I mean, the question that really frustrates me when you're on social media or we're doing shows like this and you have a general chat, and people will say, Jurgen Klopp didn't win enough at Liverpool. Drives me crazy because there's context to it. You know, in a league where he lost 1 game, and that 1 game he lost it to Man City. Otherwise, that would have been 2 titles. In a couple of Champions League finals against Real Madrid, he couldn't quite get over the line. It could have been another Champions League. I know coulda, woulda, and all of that, but there's always context. So yeah, I think if Mikel Arteta wins the Premier League this season, I think he jumps a couple of places quite quick.
What about in our era as we wrap this up? We're not talking 18 months. We're talking kind of since the three of us have been kind of watching football and reporting on football and going to football. Has there been anybody better than Sir Alex Ferguson, LME?
I mean, I honestly, I have nothing but respect, as everybody else, of Sir Alex Ferguson. I grew up in England. Obviously, I was there during Don's playing days as well, and I know everything about that time. And he is an absolute legend. But I think that by the end of everything, when Pep Guardiola leaves the game, he will be the greatest manager that we have ever seen. I think that what he has done, not just in one league, but in multiple, and how he has not just transformed the club, but honestly a footballing culture, because his football has impacted everybody else to either play alongside with it or trying to find an antidote against it. And that's a remarkable thing to do. So I think that by the end of it, when he retires, Pep Guardiola will be, to me, regarded as the greatest manager the game has ever seen.
I mean, it's totally subjective, Don. Manchester United with Sir Alex did it all and did it all again and again and kept transforming and did it all again and again. But Pep Guardiola's done it again and again, but at different clubs. So if it's between those two, who would you be siding with?
Pep, just because I think he's left a legacy behind and he's still doing it. You know, it's the legacy that he's leaving. It's LME and what he's saying in terms of every single team in world football now, and I mean every single team now, are trying to copy what Pep's doing. They're trying to play inverted fullbacks. They're trying to play the way he plays. Teams went through that phase where it was false nine. So he obviously got all his ideas and most of his ideas from Cruyff, and he sort of took that on into his Barca days, which produced, I think, probably the greatest era in football when Barcelona were Pep and Real Madrid were going toe-to-toe every single season. That was the greatest era, in my opinion. And what he's still doing now and what he will do by the time he's finished. And listen, if it's a flick of the coin and I choose Pep and you go Sir Alex, it's one of them. Whichever one you choose, I'll choose the other.
Yeah, you're happy with the silver medal.
Yeah. By the way, just one final thing on Pep Guardiola that people often disregard. Like, we could say that Lionel Messi, arguably one of the greatest, is not, to me, the greatest ever. His best season for Barcelona was due to Pep Guardiola, and what he did as well. So as a player manager as well, it's remarkable. Imitation
is the biggest form of flattery.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Final question, and it's from one of our viewers. And let's not mock this, right? Because we started off talking about when Erik ten Hag is going to get the sack. So if you're talking about 18 months, right, he has won an FA Cup that no one expected him to win against Manchester City and the League Cup with Manchester United. He's not in your top 5. He's probably not in your top 10. How far down this list would you have to go to find Erik ten Hag based on what he's done over the past 18 months?
You'd be close to rock bottom, Mark. You would, because it's the context. You can win. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, and he was quoted in saying, you can win a trophy, but that can paper over the cracks. It's the league position that you determine your manager over. And you can win a trophy. Yeah, he's won 2, and brilliant for him. And I'm not being facetious. Great, but as LME said before, he's got the worst record from a Man United manager this season. Who did he beat? Himself last season. You've broken twice on the spin, and you go in the Premier League and you look down. You go, where Man United? Bottom half. All right. Well, where they're in the Europa League? Let's see how they're doing. Bottom half. Everyone's beating him. The fear factor's gone. He can't deliver a speech. He can't deliver a team talk. He looks rattled. I'm starting to feel a little bit sorry for him because it's inevitable what's going to happen. It's going to be at some point, whenever it is, tomorrow, 10 days' time, 3 weeks' time, he'll be sacked and Ruud van Nistelrooy will be in temporary charge to the end of the season. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, just to add to Don's point, listen, everybody needs to understand something. The FA Cup and the League Cup wins, specifically the FA Cup, because I was there, and that was a very, very good performance against Manchester City. But they are shadowing the overall context of his managerial tenure with Manchester United. This is a good man and a good coach at a wrong place that just needed to leave a while ago. And we need to understand that, it's no coincidence that at this moment, right, back-to-back lowest ever starts for Man United in the history of the Premier League. And yes, we can talk about the deeper foundations of the issues, but Man United had the 3rd highest net spend this summer. So there was no excuses, so to speak. To be 14th, 5 goals scored is terrible. So there are plenty of other managers that we haven't even discussed. Diego Simeone, Lucho Enrique, if we go international, Lionel Scaloni, Didier Deschamps, like there's a massive list here. And Thomas Frank, to me, again, other underrated managers. Erik ten Hag is a good man who right now is in a very, very wrong job, who needs to leave for the sake of it. But it's not going to happen unless they get demolished by Brentford. But plenty of other managers ahead, fellow. Thanks for watching. But yes, I can think of many more managers than Erik ten Hag right now in this list.